morning. It's Brian here at Expert Dojo. I have another entrepreneur, another phenomenal startup, another incredible company that we have invested here at Expert Dojo in. Now, we love AdLaunch, and you're going to find out all about Joel. You're going to find out all about Finland. You already probably know that Scandinavia is one of the top regions in the world for bringing incredible tech companies, whether they be to do with video, whether it be to do with telecoms, or whether it to be with just pure tech, just with phenomenal entrepreneurs and great technologists. So Joel, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. I'm delighted we've invested in you. And over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about one thing, and that's about how do we turn you into a unicorn so that all of the investors that are listening to this podcast can actually really get to the end of the podcast and say, I see it, I get it, I understand why Expert Dojo invested, and I can see where our upside is here. So no pressure.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Welcome to the show. Listen, tell us a little bit more about you. Let's start when we invested, and whenever we invest, as I say many times at the beginning of a podcast, I need to be able to look forward in the traction and be able to see where a company is actually going to. And sometimes we don't have users, and sometimes we don't have the full technology in place, which makes it really, really hard. And other times I got you, right? And it means I have all of that. I have experience, I have technology, I have users, I have user behaviors, I have user habits, and I can tell very, very easily just by using some pretty simple math how you're going to grow and where you're going to grow. But just maybe if we go back to the beginning and talk a little bit about AdLaunch, talk a little bit about why and how you created it and where the journey has taken you to today.
Awesome. Great. And thanks for the kind words. So my name is Joel. I'm the CEO and founder of AdLaunch, which is the world's fastest video ad creation SaaS. We're based in Helsinki in Finland, but we also have a UK-based limited top company due to having early investors through an accelerator in London. My background is in directing videos. So I've got an MA in theater arts. I've got a BA in media production, but I also studied IP law. And for the past 15 years, besides studying in university, I was basically a one-man band to begin with, making videos like a lot of the videographers these days. And also we run a production company that we grew into $500,000 in annual revenue. But because I've always been very entrepreneur-minded, and I've also, I'm a third-generation CEO, so I was always on the lookout of something that could be truly scalable. So besides kind of like being an entrepreneur, I was also on the lookout of something that could go well outside of Finland. Finland is a very nice, beautiful country with a lot of good things, but it's only a population the size of 5 million. It's a very small country. So from the get-go, we wanted to build something with AdLaunch that could truly have a global impact. Mm-hmm. And through the production company business, we started recognizing that a lot of our enterprise level clients and a lot of smaller entrepreneur clients had a growing need for creating video for a growing number of social media channels, right? And they weren't necessarily willing to spend five-figure budgets on creating just 1-2 minute brand film type of thing or Super Bowl type of ad anymore. But we saw that that was kind of becoming more and more fragmented. So companies wanted to create more videos for these social media channels on a regular basis. And we could have either tried to hire more freelance videographers and editors, but I saw that this could also be a massive opportunity to build a platform, a scalable SaaS service for actually enabling marketers to create thousands or tens of thousands of videos. And that's really how AdLaunch was born.
Beautiful. So rather than Rather than give people fish, you're going to teach them how to fish in the simplest, it's like a proper loaves and fishes story, right? So in the
Exactly.
simplest and easiest way. And so what I loved about AdLaunch at the beginning is like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world and I'm not the most stupid. I'm like right there in the middle. But that positions me very well to be able to understand what other consumers who are like me, which by the way is 80% of consumers, what they would think about something. And something that always frustrates me is when I see this incredible, phenomenal innovation that's going to change the world that's so complicated to try and understand and implement that you just need a degree to put it through. And the only thing it achieves with absolute efficiency is making you feel as silly and as stupid as you are. And what I loved about AdLaunch, and actually it was funny, I remember having a similar type feeling when I saw Canva first come out for design folks. And I thought, I just love the fact that they made it really simple for people like me, that we can just design really beautiful things and make them really nice. And I really saw you coming out and doing what they did so well in just really that still area and move it into video and say, we want to be able to give consumers not 10 or 100 or 500 or 1,000 or even 500,000. We want to give consumers millions of videos of videos that we can take right out of stock that can be simply incorporated to display the message they want to be able to display in a very simple, efficient, and really cost-effective way. And I see that as absolutely the future of video. Video ain't going away. The opposite. Video is going to continue to multiply by X amount every single year until we are no longer on this planet anymore. So did you think on a similar level, or what was your thought process to take you from being the guy who was fishing for people to being the person who thought this is exactly the platform that needs to be built so that consumers have a voice of their own when they're making video?
Definitely. So I totally agree with your thoughts, and Canva is definitely a good kind of investment benchmark for AdLaunch. One key thing that we had in mind when founding AdLaunch was that I had used to being editing videos with, Adobe Premiere or Apple's Final Cut, but I remember the learning curve being very steep. It takes, tens of hours to learn the basics of editing videos with those, and it takes, months or years to be very professional in creating videos with those sort of professional editing suites. And what we saw that, video editing was being so democratized that it's not only videographers or editors using these tools, it's basically marketers and social media managers and entrepreneurs using these. So we kind of thought, the end game of what they want to do is not, spend hours editing that content. They actually just want results. They want
Correct.
ready-made videos
It's too
or
much.
close to ready. Yeah,
It's too
exactly.
much. It's too much. Like nobody wants to be an expert in Final Cut. We just want the great results that it can provide. Like that's all. But don't put us through that. It's mind numbing. And it's not just that it takes time. It actually becomes more time than you're spending on your job just trying to put these things together. So brilliant. Please
Exactly. Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, and so we thought that there must be like a better AI-powered method of solving this problem. So we ended up filing patents for this automatic video generation, which essentially can create videos automatically for the marketers or the users based on either keywords, industry information, or website information from their site, like fonts and colors or existing videos on their social media channels. So we kind of really spent time thinking about how the user could jump into the result without the manual editing phase. And that's really what we sort of, how we differ from the existing competition of template-based editors or fully featured editors, is that we've really focused on what the next wave of easy video creation can look like. And it's definitely going to be based around machine learning, ready-made content, and kind of just enabling the user to create results hyper fast in seconds instead of hours or days.
And when you say machine learning, so machine learning is when all of the technology around us starts to get to know us and us being our company and us being the individual likes and wants and needs that we have. And the machine starts to learn from the results that are continually coming back from previous videos, so that literally when we're trying to do our next campaign with our next video, it will come up with the perfect stock video, and it will come up with some ideas on how that video should be put together. And so I'm right when I say that, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. And then talk to me about how simple it really is. So I'm me, average Brian, not great at actually putting stuff together. Would someone like me be able to build a video based on your technology?
Definitely, yeah. So we already have a commercial version that is public, so it's not like a concept level thing. We've also already spent 19,000 hours developing the current version of the product. And basically, you can go to adlaunch.com today, type in keywords of, California, summer, people, and then just click generate. And you'll literally get an original video composition in under 2 seconds. You can
Wow.
still customize the call to action text. You can add your Expert Dojo logo, whatever you want to kind of do to kind of continue editing that. But what we've been able to create even now is that the time spent on that first draft of the video is 2 seconds rather than hours. And now we've got 1.5 million pre-licensed videos, photos, and music tracks in AdLaunch, and now we've negotiated an additional 4 million high quality HD videos. So now that we have built all of the main features and the render engine, we see that the content curation is also the best way to enable the user to have even more variety and create better results.
Beautiful. And as most people listening to this podcast know, I am a adorer of frictionless innovation. Frictionless innovation for me, I'm too old to be fighting everybody with disruption all the time. Frictionless innovation is when you walk up to break down the door and somebody opens the door for you and then says, would it be easier if I hold the door while you walk in? So whenever we look at frictionless innovation, I say to myself, okay, who are all of the different stakeholders and how are they affected by this technology? So number one, consumers. Would consumers like to be able to put together a better video for a tiny price where it's very simple for them to do it? Yes, right? Number two, would the folks that actually have access to all of the stock video, would they like to have the consumers armed to be able to make more and more and more and more and more video? Absolutely. And then number three, which is to me the incredible one, because it's very, very hard to get this trifecta. Is it less expensive for all of it? I'm not just talking about not hiring an outside agency. I just mean, forget that. Like it's zero compared to an outside agency. I mean, is it less expensive just using the tools versus tools that were available to you before? And what was incredible to me were the deals and the partnerships that you built that actually allowed you to get access to assets which the consumers can use at a fraction of the price that it would have cost them to go directly, right? So speak a little bit to that, because that to me is incredible. Like there's literally, I can't think of a single reason for a consumer not to want to use your platform.
Exactly. Yeah. So we started testing our service in June with a $49 monthly subscription price tag, which of course is affordable. And it was important for us to test it under the price that Adobe Creative Cloud and some other sort of traditional services are priced. And now we've licensed the video clips so that the user can basically license video clips at 1/10 of the cost that it would cost them to license them through large stock footage libraries. And we're talking about the world's largest stock footage libraries, not just, any old content. Yeah.
Incredible. And you've done all of this as a small startup team building. I love Finnish companies, by the way, because you're really, really, really serious. You're serious. It's not about hype and then tell everybody how great it is and fake it till you make it and come out. It's about building great, strong foundations where you can then go out to consumers and say, I don't know what a minimum viable product is. I haven't heard of that term. The only term I know is a great product which is better than what you previously used at a lower price. And you've now brought that to market, which is incredible. And I do really want to go to, in a moment, I want to go to the traction that you've built together. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges and the obstacles that you've faced getting here, because this can't have been an easy journey. I know you've built a team around you now, but it's still a very lonely journey as an entrepreneur. And I'm sure there were many lessons that you've learned along the way, and many punches on the noses and little bits of blood that might have dropped out there as you were going through those particular interactions. Speak to us a little bit about that, and maybe tell us a little bit about the journey so our listeners can get to know who Joel really is, how important this is to you, and what you went through to get here.
Great. So, like I mentioned, I have experience about building the video production company that was revenue funded, not venture capital funded. So that's a key experience that I had before.
You mean a real business?
Well, I'd say
a
that
real
the
business
scale,
where you have to make money. Oh, it's crazy.
of course, the scale and the life cycle phases may be different, but that's a key way that we were able to build like a very very agile bootstrap business. Where with AdLaunch, of course, we've done the same. There's only 6 people in the team, so it's a very kind of lean business model that we're running here. Finland has definitely got enormous high-tech talent. We have companies like Supercell with Clash of Clans and Rovio with Angry Birds. So there's a lot of kind of worldwide known sort of SaaS or app game developers here. Maybe not the companies themselves are that well known. I think one major challenge is that it took us a while to understand that video marketing or ad tech aren't really big verticals or industries from in Finland. So we noticed that now on our cap table, most of all, the capital, I'd say over 90% has been raised by, from investors abroad. So I think that a lot of US-based investors understand our vision and also the impact of what we're creating here. We're aiming to own the proprietary technology for automatic video generation, period. So it has a lot of implications of what that could lead in a commercial context. So that's definitely one finding. Then, of course, coming from a media production background, building software is different. It takes a lot of time, and we've now spent around 19,000 hours of developing features for the product, and we're really proud of the product. If investors go to benchmark us to promo.com or Adobe Spark, who have vastly higher budgets, I'd say that we're on par or ahead now of the current technology. So I'd say that we're a great investment prospect now because we can really turbocharge and grow with this technology and the adoption.
Doesn't that feel good? Like what you've built.
Definitely.
Is that your why? So because you could have quite comfortably built a very nice business. You could have taken your I'll fish for other people idea and said, we're going to make money. We'll build it from 500,000 a year to 1 million to 1.5, have a nice house, a nice family. Everybody's happy. You're not going to get stressed for working 18 hours a day. And I know you work 18 hours a day because you do our accelerator unfinished time and you are always on. But what was your why? Like, what was your real reason? I know you want to scale, but that's a very unemotional reason. Like, what is it that you want to accomplish by this? What do you feel the world deserves?
Yeah, I just think that we saw a great opportunity for, easing the burden of marketers to create that video content. I think a lot of marketers are struggling with kind of understanding what they should be doing in terms of video marketing, but they still have a hard time doing it. And I think somebody's going to solve that problem. It's either, someone else or then it's AdLaunch. And I think for us, it's a big motivator to be able to first work in creating videos and very kind of bespoke video direction and video production. But then when we kind of saw that game in working in it for a decade, now we can kind of utilize all of that experience into enabling everybody to create really good looking videos. I think that's what it's about. It's kind of like democratizing how videos are created on a large scale.
I mean, it's a great legacy, right? It's a phenomenal legacy. And then you prove it out. Like you then went out and you said, okay, I'm going to see if people are going to pay for this, which is really admirable. Most folks would have happily stuck with a free version. And just if people had happened by their website or happened by your technology or APIs, they would have been just happy that folks had downloaded it. But you went a step further. You've built up over 20,000 users. And you built in a paid user profile whereby actually your measurement of success is folks paying you money. Talk to me a little bit about how difficult that was or how easy that was, and what your process was to get you all the way up to 20,000. Because genuinely, it's what made it easy for me as an investor. So I look at a few things. I look at team. Great team, phenomenal entrepreneur. He's proven it. In my mind, this is what I'm thinking. He's proven it the hard stuff. The hard stuff is he had to build up a company with no investment, make it profitable, drive the revenue up, build the brand, get customers to like you, and get customers to pay you money. Tick in the box, huge time. Number 2, domain expertise. Yeah, the whole company was in the domain that you're in, so you know exactly the areas which are inefficient and need to be fixed. Number 3, both access and knowledge of technology. Absolutely phenomenal technology team who have absolutely executed. I think you said execute at the start, like in a big way, but you've executed this in an incredible way. Number 4, and within, by the way, the team, I'm including skill gapping in there, which everybody knows is so tremendously important to me to make sure that there's nothing silly like not having a structure, not having a brand, not having growth that can trip us up. So then we get to like my 4th really big one is what has shown us, what has proven to us that this company can really make it, that it can scale and it can go fast. And kind of speaking to my point at the beginning of the podcast, the fact that I only had to use math to work this thing out made it so easy for me. You know, I just looked, these are the users, this is who they brought on board, this is how much it cost them to bring these on board, this is how we get to 100,000 users, this is how we get to 1 million users, and this is how we get to 10 million users. So can you speak a little bit to this? I mean, the good news is your round is still open, right?
Yeah.
But we're not raising a huge amount.
Yeah,
you've raised half.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount left, right? We've only got maybe
No.
250 left tops, maybe 200.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit. And that, by the way, that's the other admirable thing. He needs very little money to build this. He's done it all himself with his team. So imagine when we really put fuel on the fire. Imagine how many users we're going to get. It's going to be off the chain. So I want you to speak to me first. How you got to the 20,000, how the 20,000 then pushes up to 100,000 users, and then to 1 million, and then to 10 million.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest findings was that we started getting users organically from around the world. So that was definitely inspiring, and it showed that we were on the right track. So now we have users from over 160 countries around the world. Most of that has come purely organically through just finding us online. I think that that's already validation that users are interested in this kind of service, even though that we can see that there are other services around template-based video creation emerging, but there's definitely a lot of growth, over 35% of growth annually in the volume of digital video advertising in the US alone. So it's definitely growing like nothing else we've seen in the past few years. Additionally, now we've built a scalable user acquisition model. So I've been interested about growth hacking for a number of years. And I think this is an important learning for startups. I'd say that most startups actually don't have a technology issue, at least not in Finland, where there's a lot of really good products. But startups mostly struggle with actually attaining users and growing really fast. And we're really lucky that we found a really good, experienced growth hacker in our team, hired her last year, and started doing testing around Facebook ads and Google search ads, Google display network ads, and so on. And we were still bootstrapping, so the budgets were pretty meager. But our finding was that we can now scalably acquire users for around $1.20 each. So I think that that's strong validation of the fact that now we've built the features that the users need. We're licensing that 4 million additional videos into the library, and now we're releasing 2 higher price tiers, and we already have an LTV of $121 and acquiring users at that 121. So we're definitely on the right path to become a very fast scaling digital company.
So you not only have the ability to be a unicorn, you actually have the ability to be, now wait for it, everyone. I don't often say this word, but I'm going to say it within the venture space. You have the ability to be profitable.
I'd say pretty quickly. Like just a quick calculation of that $1.21 of acquiring users. Every 100,000 that we now invest in marketing during the winter will add 82,000 users. Now our conversion rate of paid users has gone to 1% to 2% to showing double-digit conversion when we're hosting our own webinars and workshops. Adding this better content and the features that we're able to develop with the patent, with the fundraise, I'd say that we can become profitable or very fast growing within the next 18 months.
Incredible. And we're going to push for very fast growing. Like I literally I see us getting to a place within about a month or so where every single quarter, if not before, we are doubling the amount of users you have. I see huge growth. I see us getting to the beginning of next year. You're on like 100 or very close to 100,000 users. I see you then getting to the following quarter and you're like 200, 250. I see you getting to the following quarter. And I actually truly believe that we could get to the beginning of 2022 and have you very, very close to 1 million users.
Definitely.
We are going to pour so much damn gasoline on this fire, you would not believe it. So here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. And this is for all investors who are listening through to this. Joel is obviously a phenomenal entrepreneur. This business is actually very simple. We don't need to spend hours discussing is this something that could be popular in the future? It's already done. We're already in that place. The only point we're looking at here is when folks invest so that we can make sure that the doubling of the users is happening in a really, really rapid force. So I want, first of all, I want to wrap up in a few minutes, and I want everybody to have your email, and I want them to have your web address, and I want to make sure that you leave them with your vision, your image, the thing to you that represents entrepreneurship. But before we get to that stage, I want you just to share with us one more time, really reinforce the scaling strategy and why investors should feel very, very, very confident that in your mind, which by the way is also in my mind, you are going to become a unicorn, and when?
Good questions, Brian. I'd say what we're good at is that we're going to do a combination of a very agile growth plan that is good for startups, but then we also have the IP portfolio that a corporation would typically have. So we're basically going to move very fast and then just lock the competition out behind us. So that's basically the strategy here. We're able to add that user base by doubling it every quarter, like you mentioned. And in the next 5 years, I think that creating videos automatically with AI and machine learning and pre-licensed content is going to seem like, who got by before that was ever invented. I think that a good analogy here is that Google released their display planner tool in, I think, 2006, and they kind of democratized the way that banner ads could be created by everyone. Before that, it was mainly agencies and large corporations that were even able to kind of exercise that domain of creating banner ads. And now it's become kind of like what every digital company and e-commerce company does, or display advertising is what everybody does. And we're going to do the same democratizing effect for video.
Incredible.
That's the plan.
And I want to leave that in every single investor's ears as you walk away from this podcast. This is a phenomenal startup. It is an incredible valuation. It is a small amount of money only on offer in this round. And then the next round will be coming up in Q1 next year, which I personally expect to be at least 4 to 5 times the valuation. Joel, share with everybody your email address, your website, and what entrepreneurship means to you.
So you can test drive AdLaunch at adlaunch.com. My email address is joel@adlaunch.com, and you can find our extra information on the website.
Beautiful. And what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Building great things that otherwise wouldn't be built.
Beautiful. I can't think of a better way to finish. Thank you, my friend. That is a wrap.